Hi, my name is Cindy Berger, and I'm here to talk to you today a little bit about applying to non-academic jobs with a specific focus on working in educational technology or EdTech. I'll kind of break this into 4 different parts. I'll begin by telling you a bit about what I do in my EdTech position at Duolingo, and then what it's like in general to work in EdTech, how to prepare yourself for a similar position, and how to market yourself while applying and interviewing. To start, I am a learning and curriculum manager at Duolingo. Specifically, I manage educational content developers within our learning and curriculum organization. I'm also a team lead for the team that creates creative and pedagogical content for our stories feature. In addition to the above, learning experts at Duolingo may do any number of things, including brainstorming and developing new products, writing language curricula and educational content, writing and analyzing learning assessments, maybe editing creative content that's been developed for pedagogical purposes, communicating about learning internally and externally, and interfacing with the community outside Duolingo, perhaps the research community, as well as maybe via marketing or PR. In terms of what it's like to work in EdTech, when interviewees ask this, I always start by saying that it is incredibly fast-paced and dynamic. Changes are implemented quickly, maybe that day, if not the next week. So you are not likely to get bored anytime soon working in EdTech industry. It is intensely collaborative and really, really highly communicative. Chances are you are doing something that feels like group work most all of the time. And chances are also likely that you aren't working with other learning experts. You might be working with a product designer, someone in marketing, maybe an engineer or a designer. So it's really, really cross-functionally collaborative, we would say. The work-life balance compared to academia, I would say, is just different. It's more cleanly partitioned, at least in my experience. So I do have an end of the working day. I can close my laptop and be pretty much finished unless I have, some content that was just released that I'm monitoring or something. As with any job, it's ultimately up to the individual, I think, to set healthy boundaries, but we do have a fairly clear beginning and end of the workday, which is really different than the academic world in my experience. There's a real culture of feedback in industry. So this means there's a lot of regular feedback. You need to develop the skills to accept that feedback gracefully, kind of keep your ego in check. Having a willingness to compromise is really important as well. Because it's so collaborative, the likelihood of everyone making exactly what they want to have happen in the content or product is slim. And so we're always compromising to try to focus on the long-term company goals. Something else that's different and similar to what I just said is that often the product and the mission of the company as a whole is more important than the individual pursuits and interests of the team members. So if you are a person who has this one really specific linguistic thing that you're passionate about, that you've always been passionate about, that you want to continue focusing on and researching, a job like this might not be the best fit for you, unless, of course, you're able to find just that perfect fit within a company. Something else about EdTech is that the benefits are they're fantastic. Excellent health insurance, excellent compensation. When I'm not working from home every day during a global pandemic, I get free lunch. Every other week, I have the opportunity to get a free 15-minute massage. There's generous PTO time, occasional bonuses, and just an overall really supportive work culture as well. So if anything I just said appeals to you, you might want to begin preparing yourself for a potential job in EdTech. So I'll talk here just a minute about what you can be doing now, what opportunities you should look out for, etc. I think internships are the number one thing to look out for. They won't always exist, but where they do, apply. I would only apply for paid internships if a company isn't financially viable enough to pay its interns within this industry. I would keep looking, but it's just a fantastic way to learn the culture, to learn the vocabulary, to get a sense of what the work is like, and just get your foot in the door. Something else I'm telling more and more PhD students is to learn more about user experience research, or USR. This is the side of research within the tech world that's more user-centered, or in the case of Duolingo, more learner-centered. UXR researchers are taking a more qualitative approach to the impact of content and product design on the learner, with a focus on the type of learner, who they are, the context they're learning in. And so I see real overlap here with highly skilled qualitative researchers from educational fields. And I think if there's an opportunity for an internship here, or a workshop, or just to talk to a UXR researcher, I think that's fantastic. Again, any opportunity to learn the industry's language is important. Networking is important online and in person. Be sure to update that LinkedIn page. Chances are, if you get a job interview, someone in the hiring committee is going to look at your LinkedIn page, and hopefully they will see that you're relatively organized, somewhat connected within your own communities, and within perhaps the EdTech community as well. You don't have to post every day, just make sure it's basically up to date. Keep an eye on listservs and job sources, and apply fast. Remember, we don't have job cycles like the academic world does. So we might hire any time of the year, and we don't necessarily wait 6 to 8 months to fill it. We fill it as soon as we get a good person. Places to watch for jobs include Linguist List, Chronicle Vitae, Versatile PhD, and discipline-specific listservs as well. Something else you can do now is to apply for a job in EdTech, even if the timing isn't great for you, and even if you don't think you're remotely qualified, because just the experience of applying and the process, understanding the sort of tasks that are asked of you, the questions, would be a really great experience. And you know, if you don't get the job, it's an opportunity to practice resilience and bouncing back from a setback. Okay, so again, if EdTech interests you and you're preparing yourself, what happens when it actually comes time to interview, to apply, hopefully to interview? How will you market yourself? The first thing I would say to do is frame your expertise much more broadly than you would for non-academic markets. Remember, it's more important in this kind of work to have broad expertise than very, very deep specific expertise. You want to demonstrate that you can be clear, accessible, and succinct as a communicator. This is really important, and it doesn't always come natural to someone who has spent the last 5 years in a graduate program. You also want to demonstrate that you would be good to work with, so that you would accept feedback gracefully, that you have a willingness to compromise, that you're good at collaboration, you know how to talk to people outside your area of expertise. And then really think about what you have to offer to the company, and be sure you know how to articulate that. Chances are you have research experience, you have problem-solving skills. Actually, be ready to talk about a problem you solved when you ran up against an obstacle and you had to collaborate and think outside the box to solve that problem. Have something specific for the interview. You have organizational skills, you are a project manager, you have excellent time management skills. Be prepared to talk about those concretely. If you have international experience, highlight that. I have colleagues from all over the world. There's a great deal of cross-cultural communication in this line of work. So be ready to highlight that, and be ready to demonstrate it in some way. Of course, you know a lot about language. You probably also have some sort of language specific ability. Management is important as well. A lot of startups begin with employees, maybe straight out of undergrad, and as they become more established, they're looking for employees. They're looking to hire folks with management experience. So if you have any supervisory experience that you can develop or reference in the interview process, go for it. Creativity is really important. Make yourself and your interesting, broad, and dynamic. And most important, I would say, is to reframe your work around what you do rather than just what you study, which is a pretty big departure from academia, I think. So I have talked enough. I hope some of this was helpful. Best of luck to you in your journey.